The mailman doesn't deliver on a Sunday.
If you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Anthony for three. Bang! J.R. Smith! We just saw men fly. LeBron James with no regard for human life.
Cleveland! This is for you!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coast to Coast. I'm Ronan Gaine. Joining me, as always, Chris Nambu. Thank you so much for making this your first podcast for NBA coverage. Remember, you're on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think. You're on Apple Podcasts, you're on Spotify. Leave that 5-star review. You do that, we'll keep producing that content. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look back at the playing games that have gone down over the last few nights before doing a preview of all the playoff matchups in round one. Both of our teams still have a chance to be in the playoffs, Chris. It's a good time here.
I think this might be the happiest I've been, going into a recording probably all season. Such an amazing one. Can we just start there? Can you make me happy? Can we start there? Because Nick, you guys already had your seed. You guys are ready. You already knew what was going to happen. Brunson's been going off. Yeah, everybody knows. What everybody doesn't know is how momentous it was last night to see Coby White in his 40-point performance and what he did to solidify himself not only as the most improved player of this year. If he doesn't get it, that's just highway robbery. He's had the biggest jump in points, and not just he's had the biggest jump in team role and play on both ends of the floor. And the reason I'm just going to go off on that in a playoff preview is because I think the play-in is such a good scenario for not just teams to make the playoffs, but for teams and players to have kind of a meaningful impact beyond just the playoffs. So I'm just ecstatic right now to see both those things come into fruition for the Bulls as a culture, for a team that's, they're not going to compete for a championship here, but they're competing to create a culture. And they've done that around an MIP in Coby White, who has proven himself to be a guy that, he's not going to take a team to the championship, but he's going to develop a culture in Chicago where they are about winning. They're about competing. And they did that against a team who clearly is not about that right now in the Hawks.
Yeah. The Hawks, obviously, what we expected almost from the Hawks. I think I was always kind of favoring the Bulls in this situation, but one-off games, you never truly know. One guy can just go off like Kobe ended up being that guy. It didn't have to be DeRozan because Kobe was there, which was awesome to see. Dropping your career high in a must-win game is always something, and it's something that's going to build momentum for him and something that's going to get a lot of hype around him as well. I mean, some good news. I have seen a few guys talking about how they don't want to vote for Tyrese Maxey as most improved because he was already a good player last year. So that could feed into Coby White's case as well, which is going to be good for you. And of course, now it's come out that Jimmy Butler has an MCL sprain. He's going to be out of the play-in, probably out of the first round series if they get there. Good news for both the Bulls and the Celtics if Miami still manage to pull it out.
Yeah, I think the Celtics would much rather draw just from past trauma. They'd rather draw the Bulls. 10 times out of 10. Doesn't matter if Jimmy's there or not. You never know. But, with the Heat, you never know how the role players are going to play. You never know if Bam can just have a crazy game. So, obviously, when we're recording today, we can't tell you if the Celtics are going to be facing the Bulls or the Heat. I think we know the results either way. We've seen what the Celtics can do all season long. But I think in terms of this Heat and Bulls matchup we're going to see tomorrow, I don't think we're going to see a lot of slowing down from Kobe, Ayo, and DeMar. They're going to be able to do what they do because I think the Heat, they've just lost a little bit of that fear factor. We didn't really see that against the 76ers, which we can jump into if you'd like here, but I'm not feeling the same level of defensive intensity. I'm not feeling that same level that we got from Jimmy Butler as well, because I think a lot of things stemmed from how successful Jimmy could be playing one-on-one, playing on mismatches, and really getting into the paint and being physical. And that's just something that obviously they're going to miss now with him being injured, but you wondered if he'd jump back out of this funk. He's out one game, back in the other game, and it felt like maybe he's preserving himself for the playoffs. But a couple people said it. Well, shout out to our boy Kyle, who you kind of mentioned it. And sometimes Kyle always has these like hardo takes. I'm not sure, but I think he's right. Like we were talking the other day, and he has put everything into the last couple off seasons, or not off seasons, the past couple of postseasons, and that could still be taking a toll on his body, like what he went through those playoff runs, and he just doesn't have that same juice. So I think we will see a Bulls Celtics matchup, and I think we know where that will go. But back to the Hawks, though. I think we should address this real quick. We don't want to talk too much about the offseason. We're not going to go off on it. But was that not a turning point in the discussion we've had over the course of the season about where they're going with Trae and DeJounte, on top of DeJounte looking amazing across this without Trae the second half of the season? How they just had a different identity with him and Jalen Johnson, who unfortunately could not play. I thought that would have been an amazing matchup there. But DeJounte has crazy first quarter, then continues to have issues with Trae throughout this game with them playing together. You just notice there's no synergy. Where do they go from here in a nutshell?
Yeah, I mean they have to make major roster moves. I mean, we talked about a few weeks ago, like how they look better without Trae Young, how they win more games, how it looks better with DeJounte leading the pack. And then like even some Hawks fans commented on that video saying trade them both, blow it all up. Let's completely restart. Like there's that's can't be ruled out. I think they've got enough talent there that they can just trade off of a couple of guys, and make moves to rebuild in that way without going complete blowed up rebuild. But you look at like DeJounte and Jalen Johnson and Bogdanovich, that as a trio is a pretty decent look to start trying to build around, especially with a guy like Trae Young, a guy who's just averaged 25 and 10 for the third straight season. Yeah, maybe he's not the lead guy on a winning team, but add him into a team that needs a legit playmaker, that wants a guy that has enough to cover up for his defensive frailties, then he's a massive asset then. So I think they could still get a great deal for him if they were willing to pull the plug and move on. But I think what's very clear is if they start next season with DeJounte and Trae Young, something is very wrong in Atlanta.
Yeah, agreed. And there's interest in where it will go. You mentioned trading both players. I think the irony here is that even though I think the popular thought is trade Trae, is that I think their perspective will be, where do we go moving forward as a whole? How are we going to be more competitive? And that doesn't, and DeJounte is great. And I would love to see an identity that they create around DeJounte, around Jalen Johnson, around defense, two-way play. But who's the more valuable trade asset right now? It's DeJounte. And that's a rabbit hole we can go down. But I think that game ultimately showed us that, that was just the final nail in the coffin, that those two cannot work together. And you saw a moment of frustration at the end of the second quarter where Trae and DeJounte are on the same side of the floor. Trae's not moving. And you see this time and time again. I think that's something they tried to emphasize in the offseason. They talked about Quinn Snyder and Trae being more of an off-ball player, trying to get him open looks and trying to get actions in for him to play off of DeJounte, especially with what DeJounte can do to get into the middle of the floor and attract defense. And that just didn't happen. And that play there, as just Trae just hands the ball back to DeJounte after DeJounte passes him the ball, and then DeJounte just gets a double team, and Trae's still like not moving. He's not active. And DeJounte just has some words with him and walks away. And don't know what was said, but you can clearly tell by the body language throughout the rest of that game that without those two working together, they were never going to have a chance to win that game. And the Bulls were on the same page all game long, except for Drummond taking over Caruso, who I really hope he's not seriously injured, because I mean, Drummond, like
bad foot sprain, so it's gonna be tough to see on Friday. Anyway.
I think I saw an angle on it, and I think what happened is he knocked over Caruso and like perfectly landed on Caruso's left foot and just kept running away. And I want to say that Drummond is like what is he, like 250,
280,
280. Dude, he's like that.
He's a big dude.
We forget how big this man is. Like, that is like getting run over by a like lawnmower, just straight up right over your foot. But Caruso, hopefully he's good. But on the same page, the Bulls are on the same page, and you see what a team who's competitive, who has the right players, maybe not the best players, but the right players that are committed, That's what the Bulls have. And I think you could argue that, Io and Kobe, they look like the better players than Murray and Trey, not because they are more talented players, but because they are more bought into their role. And that's what that looks like. The Bulls are moving on. The Hawks are going to question themselves the rest of the offseason. And even the Bulls don't make it. I think they're happy with what happened. But shall we talk about our Philly series, your boy Embiid?
Yeah, I mean, they got the win. They were struggling against the zone defense of the Heat for a period in the first half, and it looked like the Heat were going to get away from them. But then they pegged it back, and despite struggling for pretty much the whole game, Joel Embiid came up clutch in the fourth quarter. He hit some big shots. He came up with that big assist to Kelly Oubre down the stretch. And I think that was a nice turning point for him, because it's always been the question against him is, can he do it in the biggest moments? Can he do it in the playoffs? I know this is the play-in, not technically the playoffs, but it's the same sort of thing. They wanted that 7 seed.
I hate that. This is the playoffs. This
Yeah.
is the playoffs. Enough of that.
And he stepped up when he needed to, despite having a difficult night. And hopefully for him that was a turning point in terms of gaining some confidence and moving forward with it. Yeah, you could say there's still limitations there. He didn't look all 100%, but it was great to see him step up when the team really needed him, and just Nick Batum going wild, unbelievable.
Yeah, that I saw my favorite tweet of the night last night is someone said Nick Batum is the LeBron James of Tobias Harris's. I have one comment for that whole game. My main takeaway is Philly fans suck. Straight up.
Yeah.
Philly fans suck. And if you are a Philly fan listening, like you guys need to do better. The fact that you guys are booing Tobias, like I know Tobias Harris is having a tough game. You think he's gonna shoot better if you guys are booing him? You guys are booing in the second quarter, the beginning of the second quarter. Really? You guys are down by 9 and you're booing? That's just insane. Like that, like Philly does not deserve to win with fan base like that. You guys deserve for Embiid to be traded to the Knicks. And my actual basketball take is that it's hard to win when you don't have a home court that feels like a home court when you're down by 9 in a win or go home situation in the second quarter. Like how do you want to compete for a fan base like that? That's
not even win or go home. Win or be or compete to be the 8th seed. That's even worse. It wasn't even win or go home. Like, yeah, that was rough. It was strange as well. Like I know obviously it means more when it's the postseason, but like I haven't really seen that in large for that much all the year, despite the struggles that they've had. And it was just strange. I know, like, don't get me wrong, they were playing bad, but to start booing, maybe if it was the end of the game, okay, maybe you could kind of understand it a little bit. But it was the second quarter. I was like, this is absolutely bizarre. And fair play to the 76ers for coming out and saying, here are those boos going, all right, well, let's step up. Let's show them what's up. Don't get me wrong. The process has been frustrating for the 76ers. That is fair, but you got to give credit to the team. They stepped up. But yeah, Tobias Harris, if he gets another $100 million contract this year, I give up. Like he's just not good. Like he deserved, like, that contract he got is one of the greatest steals of all time. Like, fair play to him. He got that big time money, but if he wants to stay in Philly, like they're gonna have.
Why would he want to stay in Philly? He got his money. I would be I'd be getting out of the East Coast if I were him. Just like, I don't even want to be anywhere near I don't want to play this team like once per year and then rest me the other game. I feel bad for Harris because like he worked hard into that contract. Like, he's a hard worker. He's not an elite basketball player. He's a great basketball player for a couple years, and I think he's a very, very good role player. But I think that he's just miscast. He's miscast as a secondary star when he got signed, and he's miscast as a tertiary scorer. Like that should not have been where he's at. But all this to say, we look forward to them playing your Knicks. You guys look fantastic. Jalen Brunson is averaging 1 million points a game over the last 15 games. He's clearly unstoppable. I can't point to any example of where the 76ers can slow him down. Can't slow down great players. Jalen Brunson's a great player. simple math. But I guess the question would be, you know, if Embiid was healthy, is how are you guys going to slow him down? How are you guys going to stop him from getting the line a million times and then having to worry about Maxey and all his cuts and how he can play off those handoffs? But even though it's one game, I think it's very instructive. We saw what the defense could do to make Embiid uncomfortable, and he doesn't look like himself. And even more so on the other end of the floor, I mean, the 76ers were doing a great job defensively most of the year. He does not have the presence and he does not have the confidence in his need to jump.
Mm-hmm.
He is not leaving the floor. And the Heat, excuse me, they realized this and they just started going right at him. And he was not really contesting shots. And if he can't do that, the way the Knicks love to get downhill, the way they love to attack the basket, I mean, he's going to have a lot of trouble. And the 76ers are going to have a lot of trouble with him getting in foul trouble, with them scoring in the paint, and really getting anything they want. So I think the first discussion isn't even about Embiid being healthy on the offensive end of the floor, but how is he going to hold up defensively against the Knicks also?
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest issue since he has returned. I mean, Embiid was arguably having the biggest impact he's ever had on the defensive end before he went down. It wasn't just all about the offense; the defense was really there. He was really locked in on that end too, and that's been the whole. That's where we've really seen the frailties of the knee since he has returned. And yeah, like looking at it, especially watching last night, you're like, Knicks got to take advantage of this. Knicks got to try and play fast, try and keep on doing what they're doing, and they should be able to take a big advantage of that role. But the only worry I have for the Knicks is just scoring outside of Brunson. Like who's going to be our number two guy? Like DiVincenzo has been awesome. He's come up with big time 20-point games down the stretch of the season. But when it's a little bit slower and we kind of need some guys to create their own, that's where kind of like, what do we have outside of Brunson? We don't really have anything. So it could get to a stage where Bogdanovich is needed to play some more minutes because he's kind of the next one up in terms of a scorer outside of Brunson. Yeah, DiVincenzo, great shooter. McBride, great shooter. But I think Bogdanovich can do that a little bit more. And yeah, it'll be tough defensively but I think there's going to be stages of this series where we're going to need to have lineup that's probably Brunson, Bogdanovich, Hart, Anunoby, and Hartenstein. I think, and just rely on the three guys in the front court to pick up the slack on the defensive end and the Brunson and Bogdanovich to do their thing on the offensive end. I think that could force the Knicks hand into playing that sort of lineup if things aren't flowing. But if things are flowing, they won't need to do it.
Yeah, and I think there's little ways that they can take advantage. I don't think there's one clear answer, and I think Bojan is absolutely going to be an option, and he's a huge X factor for me. He hasn't had the same look to him in a Knicks uniform since he arrived, and I'm not super confident it's going to happen because, you know, Tibbs isn't remarkably known for making huge change-ups to his rotation. But, I mean, Bojan's a guy who in the half court is going to be able to run a pick and roll, who's going to be able to run plays and take advantage of a deep drop. He's going to be able to take advantage of people, you know, going under screens. And he's a good shooter. I mean, we need to see him be more active offensively if you guys are struggling. But I think there's other options too. And I think see how you guys are going to attack Maxey, especially with Brunson there. Are they going to switch with Tobias and Maxey if you have OG? Can OG take advantage of a switch and you know how he can bully guys down in the paint? Can you get offense flowing through that if you're attacking Maxey and you got OG on him? Just little things like that. And Miles McBride, big X factor. Dante, the shooting from both of those guys. But I think more so, I think you guys win this defensively. Can you slow down Embiid? I think with what we've seen from the quickness, how guys from the perimeter can get down and dig down on Embiid. You got multiple wing players who can do that, get back on their guy, rotate well, put two on the ball, rotate on the weak side. Like that's not something we question. But also with Maxey, you know, do you have the personnel, the quickness? Absolutely. Absolutely. Dante, McBride, Hart's going to give him a lot of fits. So not only is he quick, he is a strong player, and Maxey is done a lot better, like getting through content, but he's going to have to fight through multiple quick and strong defenders, and we'll see how he does in a playoff series. This is gonna be a big test for him, and I'm excited to see Maxey get through that. I mean, you're not gonna slow him down all series long, but this is gonna be the bigger challenge, I think, for the 76ers to score, and I think the Knicks like to be in those grungy situations. And it could come down to, I mean, what are we calling this? Are we calling this in 6, in 7? Because I think it'll ultimately come down to those fourth quarters. And is Embiid going to pull out healthy Embiid for a couple minutes like we saw against the Heat? Not that he was dominating the paint, but just being clutch from the free throw line, clutch from three. But you're going to see that from Brunson as well. So it's going to come down to Embiid and Brunson but I think that the Knicks can survive that sort of like gritty play for 7 games.
Yeah. I mean, the Knicks want it. They want it rough. They want it to be scrappy. They want it to be tough. Like I keep kind of harping on about this. Like this is like, it feels like the Knicks are like trying to become like the next version of the Miami Heat. That kind of feels like the way that they're trying to go with this, and they're similar to the Knicks team that we had in the 90s. They're just really tough. No team is going to want to face the Knicks. The Knicks are never going to roll over. They're going to play their guys hard. They're going to play their guys to the death. They're never going to give up. And they've got talent outside of that. It's not just try hards and do that. Like they've got really great talent outside of that. And I think if that's the way the series plays out, the Knicks will be more than happy with that. That's exactly how they want to play it. And again, a lot of people are ruling the Knicks out. A lot of media people seem to think the Knicks are going to go down in round 1. The story has been so great, they're going to collapse. I'm excited to see them prove everyone wrong. Without Embiid being 100% healthy, even with Embiid 100% healthy, the Knicks still have a great chance in this series. The way that they've been playing, they're going to be able to tough it out. The only reason I'd be thinking about them definitely losing a series is if they were playing against the Boston Celtics, which they are not. They're playing against the 76ers, who have just come through the play-in, whose star man is not looking at 100%. The Knicks can bring this home in 6 games. I fully believe that they can.
Yeah, that's what I have down. Knicks in 6. I see that. I don't think that Embiid's going to last the series. I don't hope he gets hurt, but I don't think with the level that the Knicks will bring that he could keep it up. And it's just too much to put on Maxey. And outside of that, I don't see maybe you get a crazy game here and there from Oubre, but I think the Knicks have been bred for this moment. And segue here into a similar team. I think that the Knicks are trying to be what? Like you said, like the Heat, like the 90s Knicks. I think the Magic have really kind of formed into this same level of gritty, hard-nosed, physical, grind you down type of team. And that's the same kind of team that the Cavs met last year in the Knicks, and what happened there. What happened there to force them to change up their roster in order to save this team that they've built around Donovan Mitchell, who they're praying doesn't leave. And then let's talk about the not so best kept secret that the Cleveland Cavaliers just shamelessly tanked their last game against the Hornets. And then guess what happened? Instead of, I don't know, playing the Pacers and avoiding the Celtics, now you're going to have to go through the Celtics in the second round. So take that for some really great karma.
Oh yeah, I'm totally rooting for the Orlando Magic in this series, and not
Absolutely.
just rooting for them as an underdog. Like they're I wouldn't really call them a major underdog in this one.
Yep.
It's going to be a huge defensive battle. These are both teams that harp on defense. This is the second best defense in the Magic against the 6th best defense in the Cavs. It really would not surprise me if every game in this series both teams scored under 100 points. Like, I know that sounds crazy
Yeah,
in
no,
NBA,
legit.
but it would not be surprising at all. Let's see how big of a factor the shooting is for the Magic. That's been an issue for them all year. Not that the Cavs have amazing shooting, but they've got guys like Sam Merrill, like Max Strus, like Donovan Mitchell when he gets hot. Same with Darius Garland, who you can rely on to hit big shots. They've got Banchero, Wagner, and Suggs. They're their version of their big 3. These are 3 guys that are 22 years old or younger. Like that is young to be going into the postseason. Let's see how they're going to deal with this. Cavs deserve to lose because they played in fear. I don't know if this was the hierarchy making this call.
Ooh.
I don't know if it was just the coach trying to save his ass, but their whole thing was We just have to win one playoff series to show Donovan Mitchell that we're better than we were before. And that is a losing mentality, and that goes against the competitive nature that we're supposed to see in sports. So give me a Magic W. I really hope the
Yes.
Magic get the W here.
Yes. See, like, and I love that's coming from you too, because everyone's like, oh, are the Knicks sure they want to draw the 76ers or the Heat? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And same thing with the Lakers, like, oh, should the Lakers lose to not fit? No, like these teams, like a lot of sports is mentality. Like, it doesn't matter what talent is there. Do you have the mentality? And what kind of mentality does a player who believes that they are going to win the championship? They're not gaming, they're not angling their way to like get matchups. No, they are going to try to beat the other team in front of them because they believe that if you're going to be a championship team, you got to believe that you can beat any team. Either now, later, doesn't matter. You're going to face them eventually if you're going to get to the finals. So absolutely, that mentality, whoever's idea that was, that has to suck the energy a little bit out of players like Mitchell. Honestly, I mean, I don't know if they consulted him about it, but I could not imagine that a player like Mitchell is like, yeah, let's avoid that team. No, he's not thinking that. Definitely not thinking that. He's thinking, no, we're going to beat whatever team's in front of us, and we just got to keep the process, win games. And the thing is that the Cavs are a team that we really were excited about because they've survived injuries halfway through the season up to All-Star break. The way that they were probably one of the most impressive teams in terms of how they've dealt with adversity. So to see them flip this on its head and do that and not be able to deal with the adversity of Mitchell being out, posting the worst All-Star record of any playoff team right now, and like just Tristan Thompson at point guard. That's all I got to say against the Hornets. Tristan Thompson at point guard. Shameless. And the Magic. You mentioned the big three that they have, that growing big three. Jalen Suggs, we mentioned before. I'm ecstatic with how much he's improved over this season. Talking about Kobe White, I mean, put Jalen Suggs, his name out there as well for how he's just revolutionized his role on this team, being able to shoot, being one of the best catch and shoot players in the league from being one of the worst. But I think their strength really is their, not just that, but their bench and their defense, like we mentioned. Their last game against the Cavs, the bench scored 63 points. 63 points. They shot 66% from three. They were plus 87 in that game. I mean, you got Mo Wagner, the energy he brings off the bench. Cole Anthony, he has the confidence of a star. And then Joe Ingles, a guy who's always going to be able to play defense, be able to really orchestrate an offense like a point guard, use his size and his pace, and just this trademark physicality on defense for the whole, like, 5th in steals, 8th in deflections, 2nd in turnover percentage, 2nd in points allowed. When you compare these two teams, kind of similar to how we're talking about the Knicks and the 76ers, I can't picture the Cavs playing that level of gritty defense and low scoring games, like you said, under 100. I would believe that. I don't think they could survive a 7-game series like that the way that I believe and I've seen the Magic do all season long. I can't see Garland doing that. I can't see Karis LeVert doing that. I can see Max Strus doing that. I can see Jarrett Allen handling that. Mobley, maybe. But the way that they're going to have to match them physically night in, night out, I think the Magic have the edge there. And I hope Magic in 4, but I'm taking Magic in 7.
Magic in 7. Okay, nice. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna rule it out. I think it's gonna be a tight series. It's gonna be got to nitpick at it. I think Donovan Mitchell's got to be the X factor. He's kind of the only guy in the series where you're really like, he could consistently score 25, 30 points a night. Like I've seen him do it. I know he's capable of doing it. Let's see where Banchero's scoring is at. Let's see where Franz Wagner's scoring is at. They're both going to get majority of the shots for the Orlando Magic. As much as like they did this to keep Donovan Mitchell, it's also really on Donovan Mitchell now to pull this series out for them. Like he's going to be that difference maker. He's got to hit that. He's got to do the scoring. If he does his thing, I think the Cavs come out on top of this. But if he's not shooting well from deep, if the Magic are able to frustrate them, then yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a series that could go the distance, but I'm leaning towards the Magic if Donovan Mitchell has not proven that to be that guy. But I'm also then like, it gets to that game 7, I'm going to believe in Donovan Mitchell to pull it out.
Yeah, I'm. You've seen his most recent game. Maybe he's reaching his form, but overall, he's had a tough stretch from coming back for his injury. Let's say he's shooting under 33% of his pull-up threes. He's only dunked once. It's not the Donovan Mitchell we know. And the X factor I have is on the opposite end of the floor is Jalen Suggs. He's held Donovan Mitchell to 42% shooting this season. And it's not just going to be on him. Like in the playoffs, it's that one substitution, that one rotation that you switch up one game to the next, that might change everything, especially in the 7-game series. And they got a guy called Jonathan Isaac. You don't know when he's going to get out there. He hasn't had consistent run, but I mean, you have a huge X factor in your pocket if Donovan Mitchell is just cooking and Jalen Suggs needs a breather and you need to get a stop and you need to make Donovan Mitchell uncomfortable. Who better than Jonathan Isaac to put out there? And plus, with how he's been able to shoot from 3, we'll see if that sustains in the playoffs. So he's not just a complete nothing on that end, but the defense that he could bring there as well. Whether you need it on Garland, make him extra uncomfortable. Whether you need it on Mitchell, make him extra uncomfortable. That's a boon that I think will show up in one of these games. And obviously, one game can decide the series. One 5-minute stretch can determine the series. And when you got a guy like that, and you got a guy in Jalen Suggs who consistently has shown he's been able to slow down Donovan Mitchell, it's going to be really tough sledding for the Cavs.
Yeah, Isaac's been huge. Like this is like the first year we've really seen him be pretty consistently healthy. But like you said, like we haven't seen him play consistent minutes. We haven't seen him be the starting guy. But when he has played, the impact that he's had defensively has been at an elite level, which is why he was drafted by the Magic originally, and it's great that we're finally seeing it. And the fact that it's probably something that the Cavs maybe aren't thinking too much about, that could definitely prove impactful for the Magic. But yeah, I think both of us picking the Magic here. It's interesting.
Yeah, Magic and 7. Magic and 7. We're picking a lot of 7-game series, and I have another one in the East. Bucks and Pacers. I think this goes to 7. Let me tell you why. What? I'd say Bucks and 7. I'll lead with that. But I think Pacers are going to take it 2-2, and they're going to take it there in pretty dramatic fashion. And Giannis, who they probably want to stay healthy this whole series, and we'll just say that if a win for the Bucks here is not the Bucks winning this series. A win for the Bucks is Giannis not having to play in this series. And I don't think the Pacers are going to let them do that. And I think it's going to go to 7. And I think that it's going to come down to transition defense that the Bucks have not shown to be consistent in, the Pacers shown to be elite in. And I guess my first question for them, to you, you're a big Hallie guy, you have been, are we going to see a magical return to his form the first half of the season? My quick answer to that, I don't think so. And does it matter? Does it all hinge on that?
Yes, not doesn't have to get all the way there, because that'd be a big jump from where he's been at. But he's got to recapture some of that magic. And to be fair, I think a matchup with the Bucks is kind of the perfect situation to recapture that magic. Like this is a blockbuster series after the way the regular season has gone. The drama that we've seen, the battles that we've seen, the Pacers really kind of put themselves on the map with the win over the Bucks in the in-season tournament. And it does hinge if Halliburton recaptures anything close to the form we saw earlier in the season, the Pacers can win this series in 6 games. I don't think Giannis is healthy. I think they're going to be real skeptical about bringing him back. And that makes it very winnable for the Pacers. That gives them an unbelievable chance to go and cause an upset. Like, their defense can handle things a lot better without Giannis on the floor. Like, Giannis is that unstoppable force. Like, there's no stopping him. He's averaged 42, 13, and 5 against the Pacers this year. Don't get me wrong, the Pacers are still 4-1 for the series this year, but Giannis has just been absolutely unbelievable. And you know who's really struggled? Damian Lillard. Only averaged 20 points and 6 assists, shooting 32.5% from the field against the Pacers. Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to find his cape. I mean, he's gonna have to go superhero mode. He's gonna have to do what we've seen him do so often in a Blazers uniform, and he's maybe he'll be able to do it. Maybe we'll see that he likes it better without Giannis. He has a bit more freedom out there. But like the matchups that the Pacers have to face, they've clearly done a great job on Dame throughout this season. The matchups they're going to have to face without Giannis out there, I think they'll be really confident going into this series, and they should pull off the upset, especially if Giannis is not back by like the third game.
Yeah, and honestly, like we could talk all day about different, because this has been one of the coolest matchups I think in the league, is watching the Pacers and Bucks, especially how the Bucks have really evolved, or I should say devolved this season into a more offensive focused team, and the way they just have, it's just a heavy hitting fight between both of these teams. We can talk all day about that, and I think we've had the luxury of having a lot of coverage of it. But I think that to boil it all down, it does come down to Dame. And like I said, a win in this series is not winning the series, but winning it without Giannis, letting him rest. Because that calf injury, you don't want to mess with that. And that is a scary thing. And you don't want to pressure him to come back. The worst possible case scenario is that Giannis comes back too early and has an Achilles tear. That is what you worry about with that soleus strain. And that is exactly what you saw from Kevin Durant. And then then you're tracing back history and going, oh my gosh, if we never traded for Dame, then Giannis would have always been Giannis. You don't want, that's the kind of scenario you got to think about as an owner. Like, you leadership on this team, you got to think about that. And this comes down to Dame. Listen, you got Nembhard, you got Nesmith. Those are your two primary point of attack defenders that he's going to face up against. And you got to get through the help of Siakam. Maybe he's switching on him too. You got to deal with Miles Turner lurking back there. But this is not the kind of team that Dame hasn't faced in the past. This is not the level of defenders that he's cooked in the past. You've seen what he's done to teams, like you said, out west. And this is why he's here. He's here so that if Giannis is hurt, okay, we're still going to win a series with Dame. That was the mentality. That is why you traded the best defensive point guard and Drew Holiday away for Damian Lillard. He's got to be that guy. And that is an organizational failure, and that is a failure on his end if he's not able to deliver that. Because if Giannis gets hurt, or if he's not going to be able to be healthy to push through the rest of this postseason, that's where this is lost. It's not even just losing this series. It's losing his full amount of health.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think like you said, the Bucks could win this in 7, but I'm thinking like I call the Pacers in 6, but I also would say
whoa.
Yeah, I call the Pacers in 6.
Pacers in 6.
Yeah, man.
Okay, first hot take of the day. Are you putting that on your hot take board? Because that's got to be on there.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot to mention that one of my hot takes came in. The Pacers have a 6 seed. I called that.
Facts.
That.
You did.
I got that. So yeah, I might as well take a chance here on them and call them to win it in 6.
Okay. And
that comes with Halliburton recapturing a bit of the form. I'm thinking I need him to be like 20 and 10 while shooting at least like 30, 38, 39% from deep. That kind of get to that level. I
could see
that. That'd be huge. But I also would believe that I probably would still say I believe more in Dame kind of finding the cape than maybe Halliburton getting back to the level that he was early in the season. Just on history, we've seen Dame do it before.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is Halliburton, but the guy I'm really looking at on the Pacers side is Siakam. And this is a guy they also trade. I mean, a big reason I think that their offense is slowing down a bit is you don't have that shooting from Buddy. Buddy Hield is not there. And the gravity that he provided as a shooter, that's less so. And you can kind of stay away from guys like Nesmith and like Nembhard. And now you don't have Mathurin as well. So Siakam is going to have to really show what he can do inside of the arc. And the Bucks don't have a great matchup for him when Giannis isn't there. Chris Middleton is not going to be able to defend him in the post. I don't think any combination of Jay Crowder or any of their wings are going to be able to have the strength there as well. There's going to be a lot of help having to be drawn over from Brook Lopez. So I don't think a lot of the offense even necessarily has to just purely come from Halliburton turning the corner and spraying it out. A lot of it can come from inside out, which we haven't seen a ton of with the way the Pacers play so fast, which they can still do. But in a playoff scenario, I think that's why he's there. That's why they got him. Is can he attack mismatches? Can he just even attack his matchup like here against the Bucks and get a lot of offense out of that? I'm excited to see how that turns out because that was a huge acquisition that not a lot of people have been talking about.
Yeah, no, it's kind of been almost a little bit forgotten about, but I think they were kind of looking at it and thinking and liking the defensive matchup better, even with Giannis playing. I think they were excited to have Siakam in there just to try and notify him a little bit more, a guy that can play defense who's got great length. That like you're never going to stop Giannis, but just to kind of slow him, just that little bit extra that they didn't have before. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the impact that he has right off the bat in the postseason. Like, it's going to be exciting just to like this is our first look at this Pacers side in the postseason. How the way that they play, what adjustments are they going to make? How is their style going to transition to the postseason? That's definitely going to be something that's very interesting to watch. So yeah, you're going Bucks in 7. I've got Pacers in
Yeah.
6. Yeah, nice to have a little
Yeah.
disagreement there.
Yeah, we'll have a couple fun outcomes from this series, I think. Just think about it like things to put on your bingo card. Siakam, like a 30-point triple-double. I know we're gonna see Halliburton have double-double every game. Can he get a triple-double? I also got Bobby Portis. Does Bobby Portis give us another 40-point heater? We've seen him
Probably,
get hot at times,
probably.
especially with the Pacers being really tough, really poor, I should say, in the paint. And
Mhm.
they need a guy with Giannis not there. Maybe Dame's not having a hot first quarter. Can you throw the ball down to Bobby Portis and let him go to work? And that for that's why you have a guy like Bobby. You never know if he's going to be having it hot that game. And Brook Lopez hasn't really had his greatest moments in the post this season. So maybe Bobby is the one who saves Giannis, who saves the Bucks, and I would look out for that.
Do you think Bobby starts instead of Giannis, or do you think he still comes off the bench?
Mm. I think you still say, but you love. I think the flow of the game is nice to probably run a lot of pick and roll for Dame and Lopez, a lot of pick and pop. Run some handoff there, and then you're bringing in Bobby. You can kind of slow things down, maybe give Dame some rest, and if Bobby is ready to go, I mean, he can take advantage of any moment. So I think you want to keep that scoring punch off the bench, I would think.
Yeah, that's fair. And then last call, obviously, we don't know who's going to be facing the Celtics in round 1, but I think we both be backing the Celtics anyway. But final call, we didn't actually make earlier. Miami versus Bulls. Who you got?
I made the call. I mean, the Bulls are winning that. I'm not
Ooh,
eliminating
okay.
the off chance that Jovic just turns into one of those Heat guys who just drops 20 in a game and then Hawkes goes off. But I think the Bulls they're fully locked in, and losing Jimmy has got to do a lot to their confidence. And Demar got
Let's
to
go
chill.
Bulls. Let's
DeMar
go
got to chill,
Bulls.
man. Yeah, let's go Bull.
I'm
DeMar
loving
got to
that
chill
confidence,
last
man.
game. He didn't even have to do it. So, and I'll say this much: I think that Celtics in 5. I'm gonna give a game to the Bulls because when you got DeRozan there, if you keep that game within a couple points down the fourth, like DeRozan, you never
Celtics
know
don't
what's
like
gonna
doing sweeps. They're not big on sweeps.
happen.
They're against that. But yeah. You get to feel that a DeRozan game is definitely worth a win for the Bulls. Yeah, I'd agree with that. We flip it over to the West. Injury obviously was crucial in that play-in as
mm,
well. Damn
mm,
Zion. The
I
look
know.
for Zion's just not there. Like the New Orleans Pelicans were gonna win that game if Zion did not get hurt. I fully believe that.
Yeah,
They'd finally got it back to level. The Lakers weren't able to stretch the lead out again. And they had no answers for Zion. They were gonna win that game, but of course Zion has to go down. It's such an annoying injury as well. The hamstring injuries are just so tough. You cannot rush back from them at all. Even if it's only a tweak or anything, you try and push that too hard, it's gonna pop on you completely.
yeah.
It's really tough.
There's two ways to look at this. One, I mean maybe three. One is just he came back too early. Two, he's been at his best weight and his best athletic self, and he's still a little injury prone there.
Hmm.
Is this more of an indictment on, he's not a guy that you can long term that you can have play 36 minutes, 40 minutes in a
Yeah.
playoff game and expect him to drop 40 every game. Like he's not that level of guy, which is an insane level, and you're not expecting that of everybody. But of Zion, a guy who can do that, who literally against the Lakers, against Anthony Davis, against LeBron James, against their size, like can't do anything against. Not a lot of guys in the league that you can say that about. But I don't think that he can long term deliver like that at that level all the way through a postseason. And third way to look at it is the NBA rigged. Where are my conspiracy theorists? Seriously, like they're about to win this game. The Lakers are about to be forced to a second playing game, and all of a sudden Zion just like he's randomly injured. I don't know. I'm just saying. My conspiracy theorists are lacking out there because they're not pointing out the fact that was kind of just a weird injury. It's like, yeah, a little mic in, like, hey, Zion, chill, you're out. Gotta let him win this. We got it. We gotta let the Lakers win. We gotta have a Lakers Nuggets series. That'll make us more money. Just saying.
I mean, yeah,
Just
like
saying.
it's like crazier things have happened in the world, right?
Mhm.
Another interesting thing that still hasn't come out was Brandon Ingram injured. I mean, I
I
have to
don't
assume he
understand.
was.
Yeah,
Like, if he comes out that he just benched him in the fourth quarter, especially after Zion went down, like Willie Green's gonna get crucified for that. Like he's a shot maker. Yeah, he's only coming back from injury, but if he was able to go and you just benched him, that's wild.
it's okay. So Brandon Ingram is on a minutes restriction, and I don't know if it's a hard minutes restriction. Organizations do this differently. I don't know if it was a hard minutes restriction, and if it's kind of twofold. I think it might be both. I think that he wasn't playing amazing, especially on defense, and then the way that the Pels are able to like really push up the pace with Latrey, and oh my gosh, and we have to talk about Jose.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Dude, he like even though they lost, like every basketball fan in the world watches and loves players like this, and he was just a hero all night. Sprained his ankles like 17 times that game.
He's exactly the type of player that always delivers against the Lakers. I feel like he's that kind
Yeah,
of role, that nitty
yeah,
gritty tough guy that you don't really expect from, but he's the kind of guy that always kind of steps up
yeah,
against the Lakers.
yeah. And you need guys like that because
Yeah.
like D'Lo's out here like chirping at the crowd like after making one shot, and Jose's like, no, you're not doing that here. You're not doing that here. And unfortunately, they did end up doing that there. But I mean, just the way he competes, man. Like he's one of one. He's one of one. There's a lot of like very competitive. Like Pat Bev is that for sure, but like Jose, like he just takes it to another level. Like he sprained his ankle and sprinted down the court to get back in possession,
and then sprained it again.
and then did it again. And then he like I think he hurt his arm. Like he was just all over the court. He's diving everywhere. He's defending everybody. He's taking post ups against LeBron. Like he did everything. I just got to give a shout out to Jose. But I mean, you see that, and you see Trey, and you see how fast they're playing, and you see that they're a little bit just more in sync than they were with Ingram on the floor. And Ingram hit a couple tough shots, but I think tough shots is kind of the theme of the night. When Zion was not on the floor, it was tough shots. CJ is not really probing the offense and getting anything out of it. Brandon Ingram, same thing there, just taking tough fadeaways. And that was the big weakness here, is that you have a makeshift point guard, and you can't have Zion play that many minutes. And you saw what happened when the load was completely on him. The ideal balance of this team was Brandon Ingram's taking, 40%, 40, 20. CJ's 20% would have been amazing here if he's just being a spot up shooter, and he's really attacking the weak side offense when they're scrambling and when they're sending two to Zion on the other side. Like that's kind of the ideal situation, but they weren't even getting that out of him. And that's just a major failure from CJ. And I love CJ, great player, but
bad night for CJ.
That not only cost them the game, but I think that cost him Zion's health. Obviously, Zion's health is Zion's health. That's on him and just his body, and the unfortunate part of like how he's built as a tank. He can't just play that much. But the fact that the whole load was on him, that's why he got hurt. Like you need to have more production from other people.
Yeah, that's fair, but he's got to try and get to a situation where he can take that load. He is the number one pick. He is
He
their
can't.
big
That's what
time
I'm
player.
saying.
Like
That's
you get
my.
paid, you get paid the money to be able to do that. So I mean, like I
I
get
don't
it,
think he's
but
like that. I don't think he can.
then they're gonna
He's
have to
just
make
too
moves.
big.
They're gonna have
He's
to
too.
make moves to get other guys in
That's why
there.
you have Brandon Ingram. But Brandon Ingram, like obviously he's not fully healthy, so it's not fair. It's not fair to say. But Zion, you can't like Zion couldn't rest that game. If Zion is not attacking the paint every single time, they're not scoring and they're not getting offense out of it. The only offense they're getting is in the open court. And Brandon Ingram, what he hit three difficult shots. CJ hit one shot near the end of the game that really mattered. Like that was on them.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a tough one for the Pels to take, and now they go and face the Kings. They're 5-0 against the Kings this year, but now they don't have Zion, so now you're kind of leaning toward maybe the Kings being able to pull this one out.
Kings are rolling.
Kings demolished the Warriors in very, very impressive fashion. Like Keegan Murray absolutely going off, did his best Splash Bro impression to eliminate the Splash Bros.
I think
That's
he
what he
missed
went
every
for.
open shot. Did Keegan miss every wide open shot? He was banging. He was like off movement, guy like right on his hip, bang, wide open. He just overthought it. He's missing.
Yeah, I mean, I think he went 8 for 12. I think he was from deep, and 32 points. Like it was a really impressive performance. And the guys on TNT were talking before about how important it was going to be for Keegan Murray to step up,
Yeah,
and that's exactly what they did. They also questioned Zion to step up, and that's exactly what he did. It was kind of funny that the way that it worked like that, and the Kings needed that push from Keegan without having Malik Monk, without having Kevin Huerter. They're going to need that extra bit of from Keegan Murray, and it was great to see him deliver it.
yeah, and I think that gives a little more comfort to, like I said, like with the whole thing with Zion and sharing the ball there, like they don't have to, force the ball to their best players. They don't have to force everything through Sabonis. They don't have to force everything through Fox. I like that they got him going early. That was good, and that's a good sign. And on the front of losing Monk and Herter, I'm not I'm not sure. Like this could age really poorly if they just really flunk it out through the rest of the play-in and the playoffs. But having Keon Ellis and giving minutes to Davion Mitchell, having those two guys out there, their activity has completely transformed the look of this team. Like Keon Ellis has gotten his minutes, he's earned his rotation time, but having him in there more frequently, more consistently, and having him out there with Davion Mitchell, like Steph Curry's life was hell. And plus Keegan Murray, like not even to understate Keegan Murray's defensive impact as well. Like Keegan Murray really needs to get recognized for how good he is defensively. He did it last year as a rookie. He did it again this year. And the way he's able to stay in front of these guys, when that was like one of the major things people said might be his weakness, is stay in front of quicker players. Hello, you just deployed him on Steph Curry and held him to like 30% shooting when on those minutes against him. I'm totally making up a stat, but he was not getting around Keegan. He was not cooking him. He was getting around screens. And having those three guys on the floor, like the Kings look like a very good defensive team. And that's not even including Fox, who's when it matters, a great defensive player, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That changeup, not to say that Monk's he's not a good defender. Herter tries. Like I love Herter because he's such a he's a try hard. And when he's not shooting threes, he's diving in for rebounds and everything. That the effort's there. But these guys are legitimately good defenders. Does that kind of change things? And I'm saying that because I'm assuming they're going to beat the Pels. I am. I don't think CJ is going to go off. CJ is going to need to have like a 50-point game for them to win this. I think the Kings they have way more weapons to rely on here. But if we're just thinking ahead to Thunder and Kings, I'm not worried about the Thunder. I know I will pick the Thunder no matter what. But if it's Kings Thunder, looking at this new look, does that kind of change things a little bit? I feel a little bit less confident that it's not going to be an easy win.
No, I think they'll be able to make it tough for the Thunder. That's for sure. I'd still lean towards the Thunder. I still think the Thunder will be happier playing the Kings or the Pelicans than they would have been playing the Warriors or the Lakers. think that's definitely a fact for the Thunder. Kings, yeah. Does his defense hold up? Then you're kind of like, how what sort of job can they do on Shea? What sort of job can they do on J-Dub? Can Keegan Murray continue to shoot this well from deep? That all comes together. Then you're really like, the Kings could push this to 7 games. It would not be crazy if they were able to do that.
Yeah. I think ultimately, like, if we're just being realistic, like, I'm very happy for the Kings. I'm so excited. I love how they've been playing, and I think they are going to give the Thunder a couple fits. I think it's still Thunder in 6. I'm going to say 6 because of how impressed I've been with the Kings defense and how hot we know that Fox can get. And I believe in that pairing with him and Sabonis that can win them a couple games here. But I think it also could go the other way where Thunder sweep things, and a lot of that's going to come down to Chet. And Chet, like, we saw it from Draymond. He's just leaving Sabonis wide open. And Chet is going to feast off of that. And he's going to be averaging like 4 blocks a game if he's just able to float off of him like that.
Yeah.
And we'll see, like, one reason that's been kind of tough is that allows for Keegan to get wide open shots off the handoff. And it's kind of, they're going to have to see if they can manage that somehow. Maybe they're throwing one of their wings on Sabonis and then sending Chet to help off. But the Thunder have so many different options to work with there. But ultimately, I think defensively, you got to give the edge to the Thunder. And Shea is going to be Shea. Shea's going to do his thing.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Just quickly on the Warriors, Klay Thompson went 0 of 10 last night. Has he played his last game as a Warrior?
We talked about this, and I think that Klay should be back on a ceremonial minimum. Like, he does not, and I think it was very obvious that the young guys, when they came in, like, it frustrates me to no end that Moses Moody has his butt planted on the bench when Klay is taking ridiculous shots. And when Moody gets in, he's grabbing boards, he's setting screens, he's slashing to the rim. And the reason he can't, his forte was a shooter. And shooters can't, like, just come in for 10 minutes and get in a rhythm. You're not in a rhythm. But he shows you everything else. Like, give this guy consistent minutes. Let him show that he can still be that player. And I think we talked about this before too. Like, how much longer do you have until you kind of lose that? Do you lose that potential if he just never has a chance? Give him a chance. If Klay's going to be here, put him on a minimum. You're on the bench, dude. Like, we need to give other guys opportunity. Kuminga was the only productive one-on-one player because Steph Curry is just getting completely just demolished because no one, what, you're just going to expect, I don't know. It's very just frustrating to see the makeup of this team, and I think that ultimately imploded because they don't have other offensive options and they're not giving the young guys enough room to grow. And luckily, Kuminga got that opportunity to do so halfway through the season, and look at the results of that. And then Trayce Jackson-Davis, like, didn't even really get any run, and that was, I don't think that was fair that he got pulled that early. I think I would have wanted to see what his energy could have brought, especially with the other guys, and they just had no flow. They had no flow. Klay, just to answer that, no, I don't think he should come back. He's going to come back. Should be on a minimum. He should be playing minimum minutes.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll get it. We'll have more time in the offseason to get deeper into the Warriors. I guess let's go for the first matchup then. Nuggets against the Lakers, the rematch of the Western Conference Finals last year. All I will say is this is the Lakers' best chance to beat them. People that were saying that they should tank this playing game and try and get the 8th seed so they can face the Thunder, that was complete load of bullshit just based off the fact that the Pelicans were by far the best matchup for the Lakers out of the playing teams. They were the only team that you really had high confidence of the Lakers actually beating compared to both the Warriors and the Kings. So, and just in terms of general competitive nature, just complete and total bullshit. But also, yeah, this is the best chance the Lakers have of beating the Nuggets when hopefully Anthony Davis is at 100%. Hopefully LeBron is at the freshest level he's going to be during a playoff run. Not to say that makes them favorites, not to say that it even gives them a chance of winning a game, but this is still their best chance of beating this Nuggets team.
I I think this is the point. I don't know if other basketball fans are feeling this, but I'm starting to feel the end of LeBron, and it's making me a little sad. Like he had a couple plays against the Pelicans where he's just like he didn't dunk the ball through or he didn't finish through traffic in the LeBron way that you're just like raising your hands up in the air. Like even for LeBron hate, like I as a Bulls fan am a compulsory LeBron hater for what he's done to me in my childhood. Um, but it's sad, and you're losing that. And I kind of want LeBron to win. I want him to win because it's just like that last. It's like that last dance. But simple analysis, boring analysis. I mean, LeBron can't carry the load like he once could. He can still be an excellent player, but he can't carry the load against the defending champs. And AD, I mean, really, am I going to bet on AD, especially from what I saw, like against the Pelicans, against Jonas Valanciunas? Like Jokic is a better defender than Jonas Valanciunas, and he couldn't do it against Larry Nance, really. Like he couldn't do it against anybody. Like he's very average. Did not put pressure. The Pelicans did not have to change their defense at all. They were not worried about Anthony Davis. And if he is not, this is just simple stuff. If Anthony Davis is not forcing the Nuggets to change their strategy, forcing Nuggets to send help, if he's not pressuring Jokic and making Jokic work defensively, then that's it. I mean, it just honestly it comes down to that for me. It'll be a fun series, but they don't have a chance to make this miraculous win unless AD's playing to his highest ability, and we're just not seeing that from him right now.
Yeah, like how big when he had these hip back spasms, he kind of said after the game that he was limited. He looked kind of limited, like on the game on Sunday before he went down, like he was dominating as you would expect him to do against Larry Nance and Valanciunas. But Jokic is a different proposition. The Nuggets just as a whole are a completely different proposition. And like he said, I'm gonna hopefully be back at 100% for the start of the series. I'm like, you need to be at two. So. You need to be at 200% to going up against
even
these,
90%, even 90%, even 90%.
Yeah, like going up against these Nuggets. So, I mean, like the Nuggets obviously they've won 8 straight against the Lakers during the Western Conference Finals last year. It was only plus 24. Like there was a lot of tight games.
Close games. Yeah.
And then this season it's actually up to plus 31 across just 3 games, which could make you kind of worry just a little bit more about the Lakers. I think it comes down to those kind of bench minutes. If the Nuggets are even or even can win the non-Jokic minutes, they win this series sweep easy. Like the Lakers absolutely have to win big in the non-Jokic minutes. That's the key for everyone. Anyone facing the Nuggets, it's such a big part of it. Comes down to those any minutes that Jokic is not on the floor, you have got to feast. You have got to really dominate. And the Nuggets are a great matchup to face up against LeBron, especially like they've got KCP, they've got MPJ, they've got Aaron Gordon, they've got great size to defend against LeBron. AD really has to go to work, and then you're looking at this: what scoring can Reeves, D'Lo, Hachimura continue to provide? That's going to be huge. D'Lo, your shooting held up in the regular season, your shooting held up in the play-in. Can it now hold up in a playoff series against the Nuggets? Can your defense hold up? Last year we saw you get hooked because your defense wasn't holding up. He can be an X factor in this, but
yeah,
D'Lo and Reeves are really going to have to be on it from deep. They're going to have to make a lot of big shots for the Lakers to have a chance here.
Yeah, I was very bummed to see that Gabe Vincent seemed to have re-injured that ankle.
He came back out though, which is good.
Yes. And hopefully he can stay on the floor, because I think Gabe Vincent is my X factor, because what we've seen from him in the playoffs and what he could do to Jamal Murray. I love the defense of D'Lo. I don't think D'Lo will be able to. He's a good one-on-one defender in the pick and roll, and especially facing the kind of screening actions that Denver will put him through to get Jamal open. Like that's gonna be tough for him to navigate. Gabe Vincent is an elite screen navigator. Like he will be able to kind of negate a lot of the things the Nuggets will want to do if he's healthy. And that's a tough thing. D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, they're not elite screen navigators. That's not how they're built. Like they're going to struggle really on a lot of things and we saw that in the playoffs last year. So if he's not healthy, that they're gonna have some tough times there. And just winning the Jokic minutes, that's gonna be largely dependent on the rotations that we see from our friend Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham, we'll see how he does things, but how can you optimize those minutes? Are you going to play, because the Nuggets love to play fast in those minutes.
Yeah.
Are you going to play that pace? Are you going to try to slow it down? Are you going to split time between AD and LeBron to just throw in some size there, slow things down? Because if you play the pace of the Nuggets, I don't think you're going to win those non-Jokic minutes as much as
no. You have to take charge there. Like LeBron usually plays those minutes, especially during the regular season. Like LeBron usually starts each quarter. So that then Jokic usually sits at the start of the second quarter, start of the fourth quarter, and that's when LeBron's usually there running the second unit. So like it'd be interesting to see if that changes at all. I can't really remember if it changed much during the playoffs last year. I felt like LeBron just kind of played every minute there last year, but it's kind of different minute splits this year. But yeah, like it's just going to be, it's just so tough. But you're looking at it and like, I'm kind of I know this sounds weird, but I'm kind of like, Lakers need to make Jokic and Murray beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually it's Jokic and Murray are doing their thing. And then also MPJ is going like 6 of 10 from deep. Aaron Gordon is making big plays. Now they need to just make it so that the other guys are not feasting while Jokic and Murray are also feasting. Like I know that's really tough, but
I mean, dude, it's funny you
sense,
say that because that's what every team said last year, and they won the championship from that strategy.
Yeah.
They want, so like the Heat were like, all right, like Jokic, you better beat us. Oh, you just dropped 40. Okay, like that's not. Yeah, it's not an option.
Yeah.
There's no option. That's not the easy answer.
I would love to see if AD can find a way to match Jokic's scoring and see what difference that makes. That's going to be huge. Yeah,
that's the only way I see, because we've seen that when Anthony Davis is at his best, like that was some of those eye-opening like starts of the game where AD would really start getting going, and the Nuggets were struggling a little bit with that because he's more athletic than Jokic, and they're having to send help, and then you're getting some offense out of that. Then Austin Reeves gets going, then you start running Jokic through screening actions, and he's a little tired. He's playing defense, and then what happened? Then the game slows down a little bit, and Murray gets going, and then Murray scores like 10 points straight in the fourth, and then the Lakers lose by like 2, and then that's how that whole series pretty much went. It felt like.
Yeah, it's so tough. It's just
that was even them getting close.
Yeah, like
it was even them getting close.
The Nuggets are like the only team in the NBA that are legit better closers than the Lakers in clutch games, in tight games, going into the last final 5 minutes. If it's within 5 points either way, like the Lakers are great at that. That's usually where the Lakers thrive. But the Nuggets are better, and that's where it's just a big worry. I'm going to put my dreamer cap on now and say it's either going to be a sweep from the Nuggets and call death on LeBron James, or the Lakers pull it out somehow.
Okay. Good hedge. That's a good hedge. So either the Nuggets sweep them or the Lakers win in 7. Is that what you're saying?
6 or 7, yeah.
Like very obvious. I actually buy that because like if Anthony Davis is not, like if that back doesn't calm down once they start the series, yeah, I can see that. One fun thing on the bingo card here to watch out for in this series is Peyton Watson, who I am happy to see get more attention over the course of the season. Dude, this guy, like, you're going to see him one-on-one with LeBron. You're going to see him flying out of the weak side and blocking AD. He's like, no one's going to want to face him one-on-one. And that's going to be a fun rookie to be watching. The same way that we watched Christian Braun evolve over the course of the playoffs last season. But, they don't have their Bruce Brown like they did last season, but they have a guy like Peyton Watson, and Christian Braun's still there. But that should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Who's next?
Ooh, let's go Timberwolves Suns. This is a really, really interesting matchup.
I'm scared.
Understandably so. I mean, if you're the Timberwolves, you're really scared too. The matchup this season has not only been terrible for them, it's been really terrible for Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
He does not like playing against the Phoenix Suns.
You got some numbers?
4 of 16 for 13 points. 6 of 19 for 17 points. 3 of 7 for 13 points in the last game there on Sunday. And I don't know what it is. The plus minus. The thing is, like, the Suns are plus 47 in the 3 wins they've had over the
Yep.
Timberwolves this year.
Yep.
They love this matchup.
11 assists to 10 turnovers as well. A lot of those turnovers in the fourth quarter. And this isn't Anthony Edwards stinks against the Suns thing. It's a Suns can load up on Anthony Edwards and everyone else is shooting terribly thing. Teammates scoring 21 of 71 from 3. That's just unacceptable. The Suns could just have one guy sitting in the paint, send 2 to the ball, and just hope that someone on the weak side misses. And that was very often the case. And this is a team that I think, and we'll get, I think this is going to be a really fun chess match. We can get into a little of the nuance here because I think a lot of the other matchups are dependent on single players, but this is going to be dependent on a lot of things. But where does this, where's the first battle going to be fought here for the Timberwolves Suns? Who's going to change their strategy first? I'll start by saying I think the small ball of the Suns, maybe not the small ball, but the normal ball of the Suns playing KD, Book, and Bradley Beal is going to quickly force the Timberwolves to figure out what they want to do with Cat and Gobert because they can't play that large ball that they've been playing. I don't think that they're able to keep up with that pace and on the defensive end in a playoff setting.
Naz Reid.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Naz
That was the answer I'm
Reid.
looking for. I want to see more Reid. I want to see more Monte Morris. I want to see Nikhil Alexander-Walker.
Mhm.
I love Nikhil. This guy, talking about the Pelicans before, like he was buried on the Pelicans roster, did not get a chance anywhere else he went, didn't get a chance on Jazz. Now he's here, and he has grown into such a good defender. He's one of the league's good defenders, great defenders. I don't want to go too crazy here on this podcast as we're talking about playoffs and everyone's great, but he is elite defensively. And the 3-point shooting has come around, and they need a guy like that to come out in this series. They need to play smaller. They need to have more on-ball defenders. They need to find a way to slow these guys down, and they can't be bogged down like how they can be. And I think that's going to they need to very quickly get away from the supersized ball if it's not working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Cat's shot absolutely has to be dropping. Like they need him to shoot really, really huge in this game, in this series. Like if that's not happening, they're going to struggle. I think I can believe a little bit more that Anthony Edwards will find a way to get his scoring going. Like we always say, when the lights shine brightest, he usually shows up. So I'm going to believe in that. But while that question mark is still there, what are you going to do with Cat on defense? How big of a liability is he going to be on the defensive end? And then on top of that, if his shot is not falling, get Naz Reid in there. You know he's going to offer a bit more defensively, and his shot's been going down. He shot 40% from deep this year. He's looked very good. So yeah, I think this series, I think we're going to have to see big minutes from Naz Reid and Alexander Walker if the Wolves are going to pull this out, if the Wolves are going to show the Suns something a little bit different that they haven't seen throughout the regular season. Then we're going to kind of see the little test of Chris Finch here. Let's see what level he is at as a coach. For the Suns, is Beal's kind of got going. Beal's kind of found his groove. He ended up finishing the season with a career high in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. I think he played 22 games straight to finish out the season, finally getting into a little bit of a groove. And him, Durant, and Booker, the mid-range maestros that they are, like that just makes the Wolves so uncomfortable.
So if you compare Big Three offensive rating, you're just comparing everyone's best lineups, their Big Threes. They were better than the Celtics by a margin, just by a hair. This is the best offensive lineup in basketball, which is what it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And when they play against the Wolves, you mentioned the 3-0, they combine for, when you can get in their shooter, Grayson Allen, they're combining for just shy of 100 points of a game, just between those 4 players. And the numbers are kind of ridiculous, and I think it will normalize a little bit. Beal is shooting 89% from 3 in those games, 67 overall. That's going to come down. KD shooting 61% from the field. That's believable. But I mean, Book wasn't even playing his best. He was only shooting 30% from beyond the arc, and below 50% from the field. That's not going to be something that'll hold up. I think we'll get better. So overall, I think averaging things out, they're still going to be a very, very, very good offense. But I think the thing is the defensive side for the Suns. We both know how good the defense is for the Wolves. We both know how good the offense is for Phoenix. But I don't think this is going to be as simple as can this really, really good offense score against this really, really good defense, this immovable object against a unstoppable force type thing. I think it's the Suns defense. The Suns defense against the Wolves have been really good. They had 109 defensive rating against them. They forced 42 turnovers over their last 2 matchups against the Wolves. And the Wolves only scored 102 points per 100 possessions. That's 5 points worse than any regular season offense. And that's just like for a team that's got Anthony Edwards, who you mentioned is playing that bad, and a team that regularly, the 35-4 team, and Ant has 5 more assists. They're good when Ant's a distributor. But for some reason against the Suns, they turn up the notch and they're able to make him uncomfortable, force him to turnovers, and rotate to their shooters despite loading up on him. I think this isn't going to be about Ant. Like you said, it's going to be about Cat. It's going to be about the other shooters. Can the rest of the team provide? Ant can't go 1-on-3. That's literally what it was against the Suns. He can't go 1-on-3 and not have other guys produce. And if the Suns can play that defense, even for a couple of games, if they come out swinging I think the series could be over very quickly. Like the Wolves need to be very careful with how they approach this in the beginning, because you let this team get on a roll, they're not looking back. Mm-hmm. This series I think it's kind of similar to what you're saying with the Lakers and the Nuggets. If the Suns get in their groove defensively, then this could be over in 5. But I think I really hope this is going to be a 7-game series where it is that unstoppable force versus the immovable object. But the Suns defense could be the boon here that ends this a lot sooner than you'd hope for a Minnesota team who's been so good this season. It would make me very sad to see that, but I'm afraid of that happening.
Yeah, like this is the year where you're really like, okay, it's time to win a playoff series. And Minnesota, this is the 3rd year of it. They're also facing a Suns team that went all in to win a championship, so it's not going to be easy. But screw it. Let me believe in the Wolves. Give me the Wolves in 7 games.
All right. I want that. I want that. And I would love to see that for a team that's believed in their guys and not poached a star. I hate star poaching. I hate star poaching. But I will say that the Suns have impressed me with their resilience. They went 7-3 in the last 10 games. I mean, they were beating the Nuggets, Pelicans, Cavs, T-Wolves twice, Clippers, and the Kings, all teams desperate for wins. They've been in the thick of things. And this is different from that Nets team with KD, where they didn't really have to work as hard to get in. It was the East. And they all just kind of stumbled into the playoffs. Like, this team has gone through some adversity, and it seems like their strength of schedule at the end of the season has actually benefited them in the way that they've had to play some tough basketball and get through it. Like you said, Beal getting into form.
It's out of that one Clippers game.
Yes. We'll just forget about that. That you have those games, but I think either one of these teams is going to have a huge boost of confidence coming out of this first round. This is going to be one of those series that either team looks back on like that's what gave us that boost. They're going to have to come together in a huge way. Yeah. I think it's possible either whoever wins this is the one getting out of the West or really challenging the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. Yeah,
it's quite possible. And like the Suns got to be huge confidence, not just the fact that they just beat the Wolves, the fact that they were able to get up and out of the play, and that's definitely a huge boost for them. But let's talk about the final matchup that we know of, the one we were looking forward to, the Clippers and the Mavericks.
I got chills, man. Chills.
We've seen it twice before, and it was always awesome. And now we're gonna get the 3-peat, and this 3-peat is gonna be when Luka takes them down.
Luka averaged 34, 9, and 10 on 49.4% from the field in 13 games in the Clippers in the playoffs, 2020 and 2021. And he didn't have Kyrie then. Doesn't have the bigs he has now. Clippers also, they didn't have Harden. They didn't have Russ coming off the bench. Who's changed enough now? Like who has made the bigger addition? Because it's not just can can Doncic beat these guys alone? It's gonna come down to the rest of the cast. Where do we start?
I guess Kawhi Leonard's health is the key.
As
He
it always is,
missed the last 8 games of the season. I didn't actually realize it was the last 8. I thought it was actually only the last 3 or 4, and then I actually looked at it. He missed the last 8 games of
Yeah.
the season. Still unconfirmed whether or not he'll be ready to go for game 1. They play on Sunday, I believe. I think that's when the first matchup is. That's the big X factor. That's the big question mark. We got to remember the level Kawhi had to play at to get past Doncic the last time.
Mm-hmm.
Is he still that man? Does he still have that Superman level? Does he still have that two-way ability to match up with Luka Doncic? Looking at this series, just sitting back, taking a look at it, you're looking at it and thinking, the Clippers probably at best are at the same level that they were the last time they faced off in the playoffs against the Mavericks. And I think the Mavericks are better. I think Luka Doncic is better, and he also has a legit Robin to his Batman now. So even if his shot's not falling, even if the Nuggets can stop him a little bit, you got Kyrie Irving there to pick up that slack. And that's why I believe that the Mavericks have got the edge here. I don't want to rule the Clippers out. You can never rule out a veteran team. You can maybe how important is the fact that Ty Lue is such a better coach than Jason Kidd going to be in this series?
Damn. Like strays for Jason Kidd off first rip. That's crazy. I mean, I don't want to go that far yet, but I think it's a little bit different for the Clippers though, because James Harden is a very different point guard than talking about Patrick Beverley, Reggie Jackson, talking about
Gotta get out of his funk though. He's got to get out of his funk. There's going to come a time in this series where they're going to need him to score 25 or 30 points, and he's got to be able to do it.
I don't agree with that anymore. I think this team's different. I think I think legitimately having Kawhi Leonard be focused on stopping Luka as much as he can. If he can be a primary defender, on Luka, and PG is worried more so about scoring. He put him on a shooter. He doesn't have to worry too much on the defensive end. You can switch them out and deploy them differently there, but Kawhi's mostly focused on defense. I think that they have those two guys in their roles, and I think the roles have settled. And Harden is more so worried about just setting up the offense. You don't need him to take 20 shots. You don't need him to score 25 points. You got other guys on this team who can score. And Harden is not scoring through himself. He's scoring through setting guys up in the pick and roll. And that wasn't something that they really had last time these guys faced. They didn't have like a true elite top 5 playmaker in this league. They had to score off of a lot of difficult shots off of PG and off of Kawhi. And those two guys are running screening actions just to score themselves. But they didn't have a guy throwing up lobs for their bigs. And they didn't also have kind of that high octane, fast pace that they can get with Terrence Mann and Russell Westbrook coming off of the bench. I think they have different wrinkles to their game that they can rely on here. But I'm with you with the Mavs. Why are the Mavs going to win though?
Luka Doncic.
I say all that. I say all that and still don't believe that that's going to be enough. And I think it's Luka because he has more around him and what he can do with that, what he can exercise with that. Because I think the sum of the parts of the Clippers is still not more than what Luka can do with the amount of lob threats he has, with the Kyrie Irving lurking on the other side of the action that can take advantage of whatever gravity that Luka has. We've seen that really flourish this season. And the fact that, Luka's just Luka. And I don't think that we're going to see him fold in this series in the same way that I'm not confident that James Harden will fold, that we might see, PG have a bad game here or there. We might see Kawhi not be fully healthy. I fully believe in Luka's ability more than I believe in those 3 things combined. And that's, I'll just take that as a simple way of saying, Mavs in 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think the Mavs can do it in five or 6 games, especially if Kawhi is not healthy. That would change.
Yeah.
If Kawhi's back, that kind of changes things. But on the flip side of it, the Clippers have got enough offense to make sure that both Luka and Kyrie have got to play defense consistently. They've also got good perimeter defense and good size to disrupt the Mavs in a way that not a lot of teams can. So like there is the pluses there for the Clippers team. There is a way for them to win this series. I just feel like the full circle moment is coming, and the form this Mavs team have been in, the health of Kawhi Leonard. This is going to be like the full circle moment for Luka, where he finally gets past this Clippers team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that in the storyline of that. I do wonder though about the defensive focus for Luka, and the reason why we were talking about this. You know, how are the Clippers going to defend him? And Mason Plumlee, Zubac in the drop. Maybe you just like, all right, you're going to pull up from mid range. We're going to go around the screen and force you to get in there. And I mean, Luka's going to score from anywhere. Kyrie's going to score from anywhere. And I think they're going to really enjoy with the pace that they play at and the patience they have and their ability to get to their spots, that they're going to get whatever they want if they're just playing in the drop. And that's going to be a 5-6 game series. And Tyler's going to switch things up. He's not going to be stagnant. He's one of the best coaches in the league. And, you know, maybe throw some PJ Tucker out there, see some switching action there. Depending on if you're putting Kawhi on a big and then just able to switch like that. But that's going to be the interesting chess match is those matchups. And then if you're putting Kawhi on a big, if you're putting PJ Tucker out there or on the offensive end, are you then able to kind of chill out? Can Luka get a breather? Because one thing that we've seen when Luka's playing really well is that it doesn't matter because the other team's like scoring like crazy. But if you have a guy out there he's not going to really worry about, then you can take a breather. Mm-hmm. And there's that little bit of pace that if you can let Luka relax, he's going to fully take advantage of that. But I think ultimately I'm with you. I think Kyrie and Luka have shown us enough, and we've seen enough energy from their bigs. And I think that Jason Kidd has enough sense to switch things up. Lieber's out there. He could provide some spacing if they need to run some more 5-out if they need to. PJ Washington still can't shoot, but the energy that he's brought, him, DJ, they just have too much size, I think.
Yeah, they made good improvements in that
size and athleticism.
In that area. Yeah,
they have more size and athletic size than the Clippers have, and especially when it comes to that second unit, I think the Mavs second unit is going to outpower the Clippers second unit. Mm-hmm. One fun stat, looking at the closing lineups, if you look at Harden, PG, Powell, Kawhi, and Zubac, they've outscored opponents by 18.4 points per 100. So when we talk about if we got close games, that closing lineup is very good. I think a lot of that we've seen with Powell, how streaky he's been, how hot he can get from three. And that's decided a lot of games for the Clippers as they've been very good this season. But if the game is close, that's going to be an excellent matchup between, you know, what we've seen from Kyrie. Are we going to see another lefty skyhook from mid-range? Are we going to see Luka with a step back? Like this is absolutely going to 7. And this might be the best series that we'll see maybe for the whole postseason, depending on what we get for a championship matchup. But like Mavs and Clippers, for the way that these two teams are going to match each other and switch up strategies and the chess match we'll see and the type of just exciting players that we'll get on both sides, like this is going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is going to be a great series. We've had 2 series of it before, and it's been great. There's no reason to think that it's not going to be maybe even better this time around. That's a wrap. That's a wrap on the first round. Like, we're going to have some great first round matchups. Like, there's going to be so many competitive rounds, especially the West. Those two, the East are kind of competitive, but in like in a different way. Like, especially like the Magic Cavs, like that defensive battle. Like, what are we going to see from the Pacers and the Bucks? Like, it's going to be. As a first round, I don't think we're going to see a first round sweep.
Mm-mm.
We're not going. That's not going to happen. There's going to be a lot of. Maybe the Nuggets, but yeah.
I was thinking about my Bulls, but yeah, yes, I agree. I absolutely agree. I'm fully confident that won't happen. Yep.
There's gonna be a lot of tough battles. You got any final thoughts? Anything else on the regular season? Anything else on final season awards? Anything else you want to mention?
Kobe for MIP. Wemby for Rookie of the Year.
No.
6th Man of the Year. Who's that gonna go to?
Nas. I like Nas Reed.
Like Nas.
I
Okay.
like Nas. I'm not sure he's going to win it. I think Malik Monk is going to win it.
Malik
And
Monk.
probably deserving so. But
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the impact that Nas Reed has
I
had.
like that Black Horse though. The Black Horse is always more fun to talk about.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But I mean, overall, as the regular season comes to a close, now that we're just looking at the standings where everything is gone, like, man, like we didn't expect most of this last season, especially with some of the small trades and how those have propelled those teams. The Mavs, Pacers. I'm in awe, honestly, of like now that we're like looking at this slate and looking at all these matchups, like this is probably the most parity. Like you said, no sweeps expected. Like this is going to be one of the best playoff series postseasons that we've seen in a long time, and I'm excited. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. Cannot wait. Still got the final playing game tomorrow. The Bulls against the Miami Heat and the Pelicans against the Kings. They're going to be two exciting matchups. We've got one on TNT, one on ESPN. Then Saturday, things kick off. I believe the first matchup of the day is the Cavs and the Magic. Then we've got the Suns, Wolves, Knicks, 76ers, and Nuggets, Lakers. So Saturday, get the popcorn out, get the squad together, get the beers out. Playoffs start in the NBA, and we can't wait. But for today's episode, we are finished. Thank you all so much for joining us. Chris, thank you as always for joining me. Remember, we are everywhere on social media at Coast to Coast NBA. And most importantly, remember to take every shot and love every moment.
Go Bulls!